Assalamu alaikum students. I hope that you are all fine. Welcome to the video of computer science. Lecture number 2, second year computer science. Chapter number 1, Introduction to C language, and the topic is programming languages. We have seen the programming languages in the previous lecture, and we have seen that programming is the way to instruct the computer to perform various tasks. This means that we are giving the instructions to the computer to get some job done or to achieve some specific results. We can also say that the programming is the process of designing and building the computer program. And the computer program is also the set of instructions. In this lecture, we will start the categories of programming languages. So as you can see on your screens, the programming languages are broadly divided into two categories: low-level and high-level languages. However, there are some languages which have the characteristics of both. Such languages are called the middle-level languages. We will study in details in all the three languages. So let's start with the low-level languages. First, we will see some characteristics of low-level languages. First is that they are very easily understandable by machine. This means that they might be difficult or very difficult for humans to understand. But for the machines, they are very easy to understand. Assembly language and the machine language both are the types of low-level language, and they are more close to the hardware as compared to the high-level language. Second point is that the main function of low-level languages is to interact with the hardware of the computer. As they are close to the hardware, therefore they are used in the programs for controlling the hardware. So they are mostly used to develop the applications that requires the direct hardware access, like the device drivers and the operating systems. This means that they are mostly used to develop the system softwares, because you know that the system softwares are those softwares which interact directly with the hardware. And the low-level languages are providing us accessibility to the hardware. Therefore, we will use the low-level languages for developing system software. Next point is that the programs which are developed using the low-level languages are machine dependent. Now I'll explain this term machine dependent to you. A machine dependent program is the one which will run on the limited selection of computer or hardware. Means it will run only on some specific computers or devices. Those computers or devices which have the same internal design or architecture. By internal design and architecture, we mean the processor, registers, and memory. If the internal design is different, then the program will not run on such a device. The program is efficient on devices for which it has been developed. This means that it will run very fast on those devices, but it will not run on the computers with the different internal architectures or designs. This is the drawback. So this means that you will have to write the code again for the devices which have the different internal architecture. So we see that the machine dependent mean that the programming is depending upon the underlying hardware, and you have to keep in view the computer hardware and then write the code. If the internal architecture is different, then you will have to write the code again for such a device. I will also explain the term machine independent because in the coming lectures we will see that there are some languages which are machine independent. So by machine independent is the opposite of the machine dependent. So you can guess that the machine independent programs are those that run on multiple devices and computers that have the different internal architectures and design. And the programs may run a bit slower because their programming is more vast, it is covering the more designs, but they have the advantage of flexibility. This means they are flexible because they can run on the more devices. The same piece of code or the same program can run on different devices. Then this means that the program is machine independent. However, the low-level languages are machine dependent, both the machine language and the assembly language. So there are two types of the low-level language, and we will start with the machine language. So the machine language is the fundamental language of computer. This means that the computer basic language is machine language. Computer is an electronic device, a digital computer, and it understands only ones and zeros. So it consists of the machine codes, binary, 1 and 0, and it understands only the machine language codes. But still, the machine language is not used for writing the programs. Why? Because it is very difficult to memorize the machine codes, which are all in 1 and zeros. So if the machine language is not used for programming, then some other languages are used, low level and high level languages. So the program which are written in any other language must be translated into the machine language before execution. Why? Because computer understands only the machine language. And what do we mean by the execution? By execution, we means to act upon those instructions which you are giving, to carry out those commands. So before the computer can act on those instructions, they should be translated into the machine language so that computer can understand them first. So now we will see some advantages of the machine language. Advantage is that it is directly understood by the computer, so we need no translator. Second advantage is that it is very fast in execution. Now the disadvantages are that it is very difficult to write and understand. As you have seen, it is all in ones and zeros, so it is difficult to write and understand. And if there are problems, to solve those problems, to find the errors in the code, it is all very difficult. And second is that the code is machine dependent, as I have explained you, that if you want to write the code for the different devices, then you will have to write the code again separately for such devices. So this is the advantage, that same code could not be run on every computer and device. So this was our lecture today. We have seen some characteristics of the low-level languages, and we have studied the machine language. I hope that it is clear to you. And in the next lecture, we will continue the low-level languages. Thank you for your attention.